in order to make sense of exactly what it is. But I think what Zizek does, and I think he does it rather brilliantly, is he identifies, with respect to art that's displayed, I forget if it was the Statue of David or whatever it was, for that to be removed from its location and brought into the privacy of someone's home, this public exhibition, this public display, now becomes a private display. And insofar as it's now the display for just one person, and it wasn't designed with that intent, it loses its meaning, right? So that art's use is going to be very contextualized, rather difficult to understand. You can't say that it's always public, because I commissioned a piece just for myself, right? That commissioned piece for myself has use insofar as it's yeah, it's sort of trippy, right? That commissioned piece. Do I want to? Yeah, I mean, I might just do it, but then I'd have to readjust the camera. All right, yeah, let's do it. Okay. So what I'm going to do right now, despite the fact that I'm in the middle of the damn lecture, I'm just going to show you for a second, because we just started, right? But I'm going to move the camera, okay, and you get to see what I see. This is what I see when I'm lecturing to you, right? So this is what I see. And there's the piece that I commissioned by Rare Art, right? So that piece is behind, right? When I'm looking forward talking to you, this is what I'm looking at. And that's my commissioned piece there. Right, so that's my commissioned piece. Okay, so with respect to, let me set the camera back up in a proper way so that I can get back to my lecture. Tell you about some random crap right here. See, now I'm going to obsess. Now you get to see my obsessive nature with respect to how this camera is set up. Okay, that's fine, I guess. That's good enough. Alright, so my notes. So what ends up happening is and let me plug in, sorry, just one last bit. I just don't want to lose any power to my clock. There we go. Okay, so you guys get to see, the reason why I did that is you get to see what I see. You never get to see this, you get to see me. But when I'm lecturing to you, the way that I continue to draw ideas is that I surround myself with all of this information. All of this art is constantly in the background while I'm lecturing, and specifically Rare Art's pieces in the back, right? And, you know, it's about information and the dissemination of information, and information being accessible and private, and people are fighting over it, and some people want to hoard it and some people want to share it. I want to share it. When I'm lecturing to you, that piece has use for me, because it's always in the background, and it's the biggest artistic image that I have in the background, and it's a reminder to me to share information with you, right? So that piece has use for me specifically in this context, because it's a constant reminder while I'm lecturing. I don't think of it to the level that I'm thinking of it now, but that piece is used by me. It was created for me, specifically with the intent of reminding me to not hoard information, right? Reminding me to just give it away ceaselessly, nonstop, right? If I were to remove that piece, and I were to put that piece on the outside of my office so that when you came in, you saw it, it wouldn't serve the same function. It wouldn't have the same use. It wouldn't facilitate the use that I wanted it to facilitate, which is a visual reminder of my duty in life, which is disseminating and sharing information, right? Very technically dense information, and making it accessible to the masses, right? So you get the idea. The hammer is there, ready to use, right? I can grab it. I can immediately pick it up, and it can do its thing. I walk into the office. You now get to see what I see, and insofar as this is what I see, insofar as this is how I visualize, this is the visual stimulation that I use for my lecture series. It is a constant reminder and motivator for me. The artwork is used by me for that purpose, right? And to take it out of its context would transform, in a sense, its use, right? I'm jumping ahead, but I just want to get, sort of get your palate wet. Okay, so top of page 6, equipment and aesthetics, right? So again, we're still talking about equipment. We're talking about equipment. So equipment and aesthetic. So, I think this is going to be a very important quote here, and I'm going to take my time working through it because it's rather conceptually dense, of course. It's Heidegger. So, in assessing equipment, Heidegger analyzes, quote, a pair of peasant shoes, right? So he does this brilliant analysis, very brilliant analysis of shoes, believe it or not. So, here's the quote. Quote, "We shall choose a well-known painting by Van Gogh, who painted such shoes several times." So he didn't reference the specific Van Gogh painting of shoes that Heidegger decided to write on, so I just picked a painting by Van Gogh of shoes to highlight. So the image below is an example of what Heidegger might have been talking about. So you can take into account the nature of these shoes, right? They're worn, they're tattered, and such. Key. The peasant woman wears, and this probably, who knows if these are men's or women's shoes, but they're definitely used. So the peasant woman wears her shoes in the field, right? The peasant woman wears her shoes in the field. She gets up in the morning, she puts on her shoes, she goes out to the field. Only here in the field are they what they are. Only here are they what they are. The idea is, as we said last lecture, and now I want to get a little bit deeper because I've already given you the conceptual tools that you need, right? We saw that for Heidegger, to talk about a thing, who knows how you spell thing like that, right? To talk about a thing, is to combine the form plus the matter. Right? To talk about a thing is to combine form plus matter. Right? So for Heidegger, to talk about a thing is to combine form plus matter. The matter we know is physical. The form we know is not just the way in which matter is formed. Of course, Heidegger says that, right? That when we're talking about the form, we're talking about the way in which matter is shaped, right? The malleability of matter, sure, to a lesser extent. But really, as he introduces this idea of form, it is undeniably related in an Aristotelian sense to the function that it serves, right? So that, and I did a discourse on that, so I'm not going to go into all of that now to complicate it even more. So that when we talk about a thing, we recognize that a thing is form plus matter. Okay. Insofar as we're talking about a thing being form plus matter, and we recognize that the shoe really is, listen now, the shoe really is what it is in its environment, right? When that shoe is in the field, protecting the foot of the peasant woman, being used for the purpose of protecting her feet while she labors, the shoe really is what it is. It comes into being, if you will. We'll talk about this dynamic fluidity later, which I just think is absolutely amazing, right? As a matter of fact, quick side note, super quick side note, on the way here this morning, very early, like 6 o'clock, I'm listening to NPR before I went to get the coffee, while I was pumping Wheezy F Baby, shout out to Wheezy. Wheezy, shout out to Wheezy. Who would have thought that Wheezy would have been, motivating the lecture series, but it's true. And I listened to this thing on NPR about the new party, the Pirate Party in Germany. Now, who knows if it's credible or legitimate, I don't know anything about it, but they have an online social forum for younger people where they have this thing called liquid feedback, and I thought it was sick. I was like, I don't know anything about it, but I want to go Google that along with Zizek and City of Men when I get back home. So, the idea of liquid feedback is you go into a forum, virtual forum, and you talk about politics, and hopefully the party is assuming that this dynamic liquid feedback from the population, real time, will help facilitate and transform the way in which we talk about sort of bureaucracy and policy-based legislation, blah, 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 blah. It's in a more immediate, sort of amorphous liquid. It's precisely that idea. It's precisely that idea that one can then have an understanding of the thing as being what it is.